grade 7s, we are having a look now at your worksheets. And if you have a look at that, it says equivalent fractions. Now, if you look at the section that says dictionaries, you will see it says equivalent fractions have the same value, even though they may look different. So if I've got a half, or I have got 6/12, they are equivalent. The word equivalent, you can hear, sounds like equal. I know they're equivalent because what I did to the top, I did to the bottom. So 2 times 6 would give me 12. 1 times 6 would give me 6. That makes that an equivalent fraction to half. Now, if I have a look at the others, why are they the same? Because you multiply or divide top and bottom by the same thing. Then, if you have a look at the bottom, it shows how they multiplied and made each fraction equal. So if I go from a half, I could go to 2/4, I could go to 3/6, I could go to 4/8, and so on. And you could see that the fractions are equivalent. Now, if you look at the next one, we've got mental maths, but we're going to go through that in a minute. Then, introduction of equivalent fractions. Now, the use of the fraction chart is what you need here, because if you look at what fractions are equal, bigger than, smaller than, 1/2 is equal to 1/4, or so 1/2, sorry, 1/2, is it equal to 1/4? Definitely not, because if you look at this, 2 times 2 gives me 4, but 1 times 2 is going to give me 2. So 2/4 is equivalent. Now, if we go on to our next piece of work, which you are please going to do in your books, it says there, what fraction equals? So let's have a quick look. I'm going to just erase this. I'm going to say now what fraction equals. So we've got number 1a. It's got 1/3. You can choose any equivalent fraction to this. So, but whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So if I say 1 times 5, I could make it. Then I times by 5 here. And I'm going to say that's 5/15. And all you've got to do is make sure that you do the same at the top and the bottom. Then number 2a says, complete the following. So we've got 6/12. And again, obviously, it's about equivalent fractions. And if I've got 6/12, I can say now I could divide. So what goes into both? Say divide by 2 and divide by 2. That would give me 2 into 6, 3 times. 2 into 12 goes 6 times. So we are going to have 3/6. That's going to be the equivalent fraction there. You might get in a situation where you've got 2/7 and it gives you this open side. You are now going to say, how do I get from this to this? 2 and 7, there's nothing that can divide into both because 7 is a prime number. But you could multiply by 2, multiply by 2. That would give me 4/14. Right, on to our next page, please. I'm just going to erase this. Now, if you have a look at the next page, we have got number 3. Number 3a says, write an equivalent fraction for. So we've got 4 and 1/5. So we've got a mixed number. I need to write an equivalent fraction for this. So I can change this, or all I need to do is say 4, and what would be equivalent to 1/5 times by 2 times by 2. 1 times 2 is 2, 5 times 2 is 10. So you cannot say an equivalent whole number because 4 is equivalent to 4. But the fraction you could change to this and make it equivalent. Right, if I go on, it says fill in bigger than, smaller than, or equal to. So number 4a, we've got a half and we've got a quarter. Remember, guys, when you look at your fraction chart at the end of the booklet, at the end of this worksheet, actually, you will see a fraction booklet chart. The fraction chart will tell you or show you what is equal. If I've got this, a whole, and I've got that, that is a half, that is a half. If I wanted quarters, this would be a quarter, that would be a quarter, and this would be a quarter, and this would be a quarter. So which one of these two is bigger? Obviously, a half is bigger than a quarter. So the higher the denominator, the smaller the fraction. If it's all 1/4 or 1/8. If I had to say to you guys, a quarter and an eighth, which one is bigger? A quarter is bigger than an eighth because an eighth is a half of a quarter. So if you go and look at the fraction chart, make sure you know how that works. Right, if you go on, guys, to the next number, you look at number 5. Number 5 says, use the number lines to answer the questions. Now, we've got the number lines, and the first one is cut into tenths. So the parts are tenths. And the second one is hundredths. Now, the first one says, I've got 1/10 and I've got 10 hundredths. Which one is bigger? So let's have a look. I've got 1/10. Look at the top fraction and then look at the second one that is cut into hundredths. 1/10 and 10 hundredths is exactly the same size. Right, now we go on. The next page says problem solving. Write 10 fractions that are equivalent to 5/10. What is equivalent to it? I need 10 different fractions, please. Right, then extra activities. Please make sure that you do that. Are these two fractions equal and why? Not is. Please change that in your booklet. 3 and 3/8 and 2 and 7/8. I want to know, are they equal or not? And show me why. The MESA example is a great challenge. I'd like you to give that a go, please. Right, and then at the bottom, I want you to write down if you understand it and if you need any assistance with this.